Hello and welcome to Building People, a podcast highlighting the individuals behind construction projects and the stories that we live. I'm your host, Richie McNamara. I politely ask that you make sure you're following us, CE Floyd, on Instagram and LinkedIn, while we get started with this episode of Building People. In this episode, I sit down with Katie Smith to discuss CE Floyd's Dream Manager program. Our leadership team developed this program to provide our CE family with the opportunity to recognize the initial steps toward chasing down their dreams. Hey Katie, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to talk to you today about the Dream Manager program. Congrats on being selected.
Thank you.
But first, do you want to talk about what your role here is?
Sure. So my title is Accounts Payable Supervisor. So I oversee our Accounts Payable Coordinator. I also oversee all of the accounts payable processes, incoming payments, getting the bills paid, making sure things are paid on time and in the most efficient process possible.
I just wrote a little profile on our LinkedIn page. Go check it out. About your jiu-jitsu practice.
Yes.
Do you want to give the audience a little teaser what that's like, what they can find in that?
Sure. So the profile that you did talked about my experience with competing, a very specific match I had last year, and like the connections you make with the people I compete against, and a lot of the parts of jiu-jitsu that spread into the rest of your life. The ability to stay calm under pressure, the ability to prioritize and just look at your life and realize what's really important. And since then, I'm excited to share, I got my first gold medal back on May 20th.
Congrats.
Thank you. So that was awesome. That was an experience.
I've learned that there are other people in CE Floyd who do jiu-jitsu, so...
Are there really?
Yeah, Mike Stuhlger.
I didn't know that.
Shauna told me yesterday, so maybe...
Oh, he and I will have to connect on that. That's awesome.
We'll get it on recording too. So.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. So just to talk a little bit about what the Dream Manager program is, it was introduced in 2022. It's the Fully Living Out Your Dreams program is what it's been coined as, which stands for FLOID, Floyd.
Yes.
So it's a talk series, a series of self-help seminars, and it's kind of inspired by this book, The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly.
Yeah.
Anything else I missed?
No, that's pretty much it. The idea is that laying out all the dreams that I have in life and focusing on one specifically, and just having that support on being able to make that happen in all aspects of my life.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And you applied and were selected to have this Dream Manager experience. Just out of curiosity, what was the application process like?
So, Chris, I actually have the questions. Chris actually asked two questions of the applicants. And the first one was, what is your motivation to invest in yourself and explore your dreams? And he asked us to kind of explain the commitment to that. And my motivation came from a cycle in my whole life of people pleasing. I always kind of thought that if I put others first, that would turn around and make me happy. But as I get older, I'm starting to realize that I have to really fulfill my own happiness in order to be my best self, to present as a friend, as a partner, as a manager, as an employee. So I think working on myself and prioritizing that will kind of spread out into the other areas of my life.
Absolutely.
The second question was, what barriers do you currently face that working with a Dream Manager could help you overcome? And I think my biggest barrier has always been waiting to take action until I feel fully ready on something, waiting until the situation is perfect, waiting until all the pieces have fallen into place. And sometimes I need that kick in the butt. I need someone to say, this is as ready as you're ever going to be, and let's go. And I think that's what that Dream Manager is really going to help me with, just kind of sticking with me side by side, making sure that I keep moving forward, and kind of thinking today rather than someday.
Yeah, absolutely. I love both parts of what you said, because if you can't love yourself, how are you going to help other people out and
Exactly.
give love to other people?
I think another, I've always been very independent. I pride myself on standing on my own 2 feet, doing things for myself, but that has created this idea that it's not okay to ask for help. So it's something I've been working on, and I think this is going to be a big help with that. This is inherently someone helping me through this entire process, and I'm accepting it and I'm opening myself up to it, and I think that's going to be really helpful.
That's great. Because it really is sometimes you just need that little push, that little extra factor to get you going.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that this Dream Manager experience can give that to you. So you just had your first kickoff meeting with the Dream Manager, correct?
Yes.
Who is the Dream Manager and how did it go?
His name is Tony Ferraro. He is the Director of Training Services for Floyd Consulting, the company that Matthew Kelly created to establish this program. And it was great. He seems really easy to talk to. I felt like an instant comfort with him. He knew a lot about jiu-jitsu, so we kind of instantly, bonded over that. And just right off the bat, I felt like he was going to be someone like easy to work with, and like I said, just that click like immediately.
That's great. Cool. So what did that kickoff meeting consist of? What did you accomplish during that meeting? So
that was mostly just an introduction and just kind of very high level laying out what this program is going to be like. The things we talked about, how we're going to work on like a specific dream, how he's going to help me with different aspects of my life, like physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual. The fact that we'll meet once a month over the course of the next year. There'll be like little bits of homework and things to work on. He sent over a bunch of materials, this binder that kind of goes through each session like by tab and gives me things to focus on in between our meetings, as well as a couple of books, the Dream Manager book and another one by Matthew Kelly that it's called The Rhythm of Life. And the basic idea is that the 4 areas of your life, the physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual, are kind of the areas you need to focus on for like overall happiness and fulfillment.
Oh, that's great. So why is this meaningful to you? Why is it important to you to have this extra push? And why is it meaningful that CE Floyd could provide that?
I think, like I said, over the course of my life, I've kind of always put other people first, and I think this is really helping me to put myself first for once, and to focus on something that is, although it's going to help the other people in my life, it's really for me.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like I do want to document like your whole process throughout the
absolutely
journey, so I'll definitely have you back once you're at the next step of this experience, whatever that looks like. Is there anything else you want to share about this experience so far?
No, it sounds like my first session is going to be, I'll get the chance to build what's called my dream list. So they list out a number of different categories, adventure, emotional, financial, professional, character, psychological. So they provided me with a journal. So I'll get the chance to sit down and list out, I think it's 100 dreams that I have. So that's going to take some time, but it'll be cool to kind of dig into that. And then I think I'll get the chance to really select which dream I'm going to focus on for the next year. So we'll get to talk about that.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me today, Katie. I loved learning about this, and I'm excited to learn more. I feel like this will be fun to document as it goes on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to share it.
2 months after our initial conversation, Katie and I met up again to check in about her Dream Manager journey. We discussed the progress made in narrowing down her goal and the tools and guidance the Dream Manager has provided her so far. Hello, Katie. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How are you? How was your summer?
So far, so good. It's going by really fast. In June, I got the chance to take a vacation to Key West with a couple of my close friends. So that was a nice reset, refresh. And then coming back, I started my 8-week training camp for Master Worlds, which is a big jiu-jitsu tournament in Las Vegas at the end of August. So that's ramping up right now.
Wow, you're right in the thick of it.
I'm in the thick of it right now, yes.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me. Last time we talked was 2 or 3 months ago, and you were just getting started with your Dream Manager journey. And you met a couple times more with the Dream Manager since we talked. What have those past couple of meetings consisted of? What have you accomplished since?
Yeah, so the first meeting was kind of just an intro to the whole program, and my homework from that meeting was to come up with my list of dreams. The goal was to come up with 100 total dreams, and they fit into a bunch of different categories like adventure, emotional, material, creative, psychological. So that way, breaking it down by category made it a little easier to do 100. I didn't come up with 100, I came up with 89, so that was pretty
So
good.
yeah.
And they vary in scale from, a variety of places that I want to travel to little things like one of the material dreams I have is buying a car outright in cash, no payment. So they kind of scale from big to small. And then in that last meeting, we talked about how to prioritize dreams, because I have this huge list and it's overwhelming, and the idea of achieving all of these dreams feels overwhelming. So we did an exercise on how to compare and contrast things. He used the example of when you and your partner and your friends are trying to decide where to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And you come up with 3 or 4 restaurants and you can't decide which one. So it's kind of a compare and contrast. You compare number 1 to number 2, number 1 to number 3, and that helps you narrow it down. So we compared that to the idea of dreams. And the goal now is to narrow it down to 4 dreams. And this will help me establish the dream that we are going to work towards. So he broke it down. 2 of the dreams that I'm selecting are something that can be obtained in the next 12 months. So he suggested that those be either financial or physical, because they're easy to track, they're easy to break down into manageable steps, and I think it's easier to achieve dreams when you can see the progress.
Yeah.
Then the third and the fourth, the third dream to select is one that I would imagine achieving in the next 1 to 5 years. And the last one is something I would imagine achieving in 5+ years.
Gotcha.
So I think the one that I will select to work with him on will be one of those 12-month dreams, since we're doing a 12-month program. But I think the idea of the 1 to 5 years and the 5+ years is just to keep the idea of dreaming and working towards my dreams and my goals even after we meet.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great, because it's just, like you said, a 12-month program, but it's kind of like setting you up to build these habits that keep you consistently, going for self-improvement and achieving your dreams. I love that.
Exactly. And I mean, if one of the dreams that, he used the example of, if one of the dreams that we work towards in the 12 months is financial, whether it's paying off debt, building a savings account, things like that, that can set you up for some of those bigger dreams. Whether it's one of my dreams is to own my own home. A lot of my dreams, the adventure category was the biggest. I have lots of places I want to travel, lots of places I want to see. So getting in a better situation financially could potentially help set me up for things like that in the future.
Yeah, that's so cool. Something I just thought of, last time you talked about how part of this dream manager journey for you is doing something for you, like prioritizing yourself. Do you feel like you have started adopting that kind of mindset since you started working with the dream manager, just in your daily life?
Yeah. I think I've been trying to prioritize myself more and my needs more, and put myself first when I make decisions, because I think, as I mentioned in the last one, I think the better I am, the better I can present myself in every situation, whether it's at work, it's at the gym, as a teacher, as a training partner, in my relationship and my friendships. So I think it's definitely, I feel like if I fill my own tank, then I can fill up your cup, you can share with others. And I think I've been trying to think of that more often.
That's great to hear. So I know you aren't totally narrowing your dreams down yet. You aren't at that stage yet, but do you have a handful that you think will end up being making the final cut?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about the ones to potentially achieve in the next 12 months, and I'm looking at the idea of paying off some credit card debt. Working in a nonprofit previously kind of required me to, my salary would cover my rent, my utilities, but I would have to rely on credit card for things like groceries, gas, everyday living expenses. And now that I'm in a much better situation, I think I'm still carrying that burden a little bit. And so I think one of them might be to kind of tackle some of that and put me in a better situation going forward to be able to build up a better savings account, travel, things like that. Another one, I've been trying to think of a financial and a physical, since you mentioned those 2 categories. And I think for physical, for jiu-jitsu tournaments, there's kind of a scale. There's the local ones that I've done. This one in Vegas is a much bigger organization, and there's an even larger one called the Pan American Championship that's in Florida. and it's something, you train for months, you really kind of put your all in, and people come from all over the world to compete. So I've been thinking that maybe that would be, I kind of thought that I would never be quite that good, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm trying to think of it differently. It's not about how good I am, it's about the work that I can put into it, and like how I can, rather than giving myself a ceiling, like where I can go, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking of maybe using that as a goal to work towards.
Awesome. That's interesting, the financial and the physical ones. I feel like he said those are the ones that are like easiest to track or easiest to like see results.
Yeah, because you can, like, financial, for example, like if you have this much of a balance and you want to pay it down, you can see that you're paying it down. You can watch the numbers go down, and that's really satisfying to see, to kind of see that ticking down. And I think the physical, he mentioned that a lot of people talk about a goal of losing this much weight or reaching this size, and it's easy to see as the number goes down the scale, or as the size of your clothing changes, or building up to doing a certain number of pull-ups. You couldn't do any in the beginning, now you can do 2, then you can do 4. So I think those check-ins on the goal that keep you motivated. Instead of just looking at it big picture, you're looking at, like, it's almost like breaking it down into mini goals. Yeah. And meeting those mini goals gets you to that big one.
Right. I can totally see how, like, that feeling of satisfaction of seeing those kind of milestones can help, like, what am I trying to think of? It's like the Pavlovian type of thing, where it's like, oh, this makes me feel good, I'm going to keep doing it.
Exactly, and I think it keeps you motivated, because I think a lot of, like, making this dream list, a lot of the things I was thinking of felt so out of my reach. Like, and like I said, like, almost overwhelming. Like, I'm looking at this whole list of things that I haven't done, and I'm like, how much time do I have? How much, you know what I mean? How many resources do I have? So I think breaking it down into smaller, manageable goals, I think keeps that, like you said, that endorphin boost, like, going.
Oh, that's great. What are some of, like, the specific, like, tools or structure that the Dream Manager has provided you that you found really helpful?
Something that I found really helpful that I'm kind of thinking about throughout the month in between our meetings, we start each meeting with this thing called the Rhythm of Life scorecard. So he has 4 categories: physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. And we check in quickly and you rate them: green, yellow, or red. Similar to a stoplight. Red means I am not doing well with this at all. Yellow means I feel pretty good, but I could improve. And green means, like, I feel like this is on point right now. And I think then we check in quickly about, if there's any that I picked green or yellow, like, what can I do to maintain that, especially the green. If there's anything that I'm feeling red, what can we do to bring myself to a yellow or a green? So it kind of makes me, it forces me to look at myself first, because these 4 things are very personal, you know what I mean? And it kind of helps me to see what feeds into each of these, like what makes me feel the green level for emotional, what makes me feel that green level for intellectual, how can I feed into that? It makes me really evaluate kind of where I'm at in the moment, which is very grounding. My brain is constantly thinking, in this moment, but also the next moment, the next day, I'm a planner for sure. And I think this helps me be in the moment for that minute, and, like I said, like, ground myself and say, where am I at right now? How can I improve that? And I think I've been thinking about that more in between meetings. Like, I'm driving to work, I'm driving to the gym, take a minute to kind of, like, check in with myself. Like, where am I? Am I feeling green in all these categories? What can I do today to make that feel a little better? What can I do in the next week to make that feel a little better? I think it helps a lot with that, prioritizing my feelings and my, where I'm at.
That's so interesting, because I think of this Dream Manager thing as like a planning, like a structured kind of foresight type of thing. But then these, like, mindfulness techniques are really what makes you good at planning and good at,
Exactly. And I think the purpose is, like, the more mindful you can be in the moment, the more you can plan for the future. And I didn't think of that. I think I'm constantly thinking the next week, the next month, the next year, and it's harder for me to remember, like, what about right now? What about the moment I'm living in right now?
Definitely.
I'm amazed at how much I think, it's only been 2 sessions so far, but I can already see that this is really gonna, like, spread out into the rest of my life and really help me make improvements in the way I'm living every day, which is great.
Awesome. Well, I'm really enjoying following this journey with you. I feel like every time we talk, I learn something new about, like, your dream manager journey, but also just like, mindfulness and how to, be your best self. So
Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to share?
No, not right now. I think right now like I said, my goals are to narrow down those 2 12-month goals, and then to look at that bigger picture. Like, what do I imagine in the next 1 to 5 years? What do I imagine in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
So that'll be my my moment of reflection for the next meeting.
Okay, great. Very exciting. Great. Well, thank you, Katie. We'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Stay tuned to the Building People podcast to keep up with Katie's dream manager journey, as I'll be checking in with her periodically to track what this process looks like. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. To learn more about our company, go to cefloyd.com and follow us on social media. Thank you for listening. I'm Richie McNamara, and this has been Building People.